guess we could battle for your money. I'd rather count $100,000 on a Sunday. Watch a football game and bet it all on one play.
Hey everybody, so I am back with this week's update for week 7. First off, let's look at the scoreboard for week 7. First matchup, the Dynasty versus the Worldwide Wickets. The Dynasty, this is a bit of a blowout actually. 126-64. I'm a little disappointed with Steve's performance here. But anyway, moving on. The Black Aces lost again to Banned Substance, who desperately needed to win. Nip High Football Rules also winning, keeping up with the Dynasty. Those two very close, looking like they're going to be competitors here down the stretch. They beat Davidson, who is the Oxymorons, who are really struggling. 1-6. We'll talk more about that later. Breslin also loses to the London Silly Nannies, another team that's looking still very good. Breslin also 1-6, a bit of a struggle. The Flash loses to Wolf. Moving on to the next matchup, which was a heartbreaker for the Hillhounds, losing 67-66 to the Oklahoma Okie Dokies. So after all of that, what do the standings look like? In the North, at the top, all by themselves, are the London Silly Nannies at 6-1. Looking very strong here. The Hillhounds are 5-2, 1 game back. Nip High Football Rules and the Dynasty are both at 4-3, just 2 games back. The Black Aces are 4 games back at 2-5, and the Shorty are 1-6 and 5 games back. In the South, the Wings are in first at 6-1. Our Team Wolf is looking good. Their abbreviation is Wings. Got that a little confused there. They're 6-1. They are looking hard to beat. They're putting up good amounts of points. Putting up 140. But Giants have fallen before, as we've all witnessed. Fantasy baseball. But anyway, speaking of choke artists, the Worldwide Wickets are 5-2 and 1 game back. Banned Substance is 3-4 and 3 games back, tied with the Oklahoma Okie Dokies at 3-4. The Flash is at 2-5 and 4 games back, and the Oxymorons are 1-6 and 5 games back. Now, the bottom 4 teams in each division are somewhat surprising. One of them, the Las Vegas Black Aces, I'm not so surprised about. Take a look at the forum, some of the threads. I didn't think they'd have a great year. They thought they would. Go check that out. But what I'm more surprised about is the Flash, the Oxymorons, and the Battling Shorty. All 3 of those teams I thought would be good competitors. The Flash seems like they're checking their team. I don't know if they're getting tough matchups. I have to look back at the other scoreboards, but their record is 2-5. I mean, that's not a good record. I'm not quite sure what's going on there. And Oxymorons, really not sure what's happening there. And the Battling Shorty, I think they're just making too many trades. They're desperate. They're going out trying to make deals. I think they might be going with trying to get the hot hand, just going with projections a little bit more than intuition, and I think that's hurting them. Anyway, my top performances of week 7. Tom Brady has had 2 great weeks in a row, putting up 27 big points. He is a great person to have on your team right now. When Tom Brady gets hot, he gets hot. So he's one of my top performers. Miles Austin is my my other top performer. The past 2 weeks, he's had 411 yards and either 4 or 5 touchdowns. I think 4. Those are astounding numbers. Those are huge. He's performing extremely well for fantasy owners right now. I think he's a risk player, but there's definitely some reward there. He's proven it. My big busts of the week. Eli Manning. What are you doing? Past 2 weeks, passing, passer rating below 60. You score 9 points against a young Cardinals secondary. That's not cutting it. And the second big bust of the week, this isn't a player. This is a team. This is the Hillhounds. I'm not quite sure what you were thinking, but the fact that you didn't start a defense and lost by 1 point, that's really tough. And that is why you are the big bust of the week. That's, ugh. I don't even want to think about that. Alright, on to the past week's poll. LT, will he reemerge as an elite back, or will he just sort of disappear? 50% of you said that you thought he could reemerge as an elite back in the NFL. The other 50% said that he was done for good. He wasn't coming back. Maybe he'll play, but he's not going to be good. And nobody thought that he would be a middle-of-the-pack back. Nobody thought that. Everybody either thought that he would be elite or that he would just go and die. The next week's poll will be, can Breslin or the Oxymorons come back? They're both 1-6, the bottom of their divisions. Do you think they have any chance of making the playoffs? Trades and some additions and drops from last week. Only had one trade, and that involved the Las Vegas Black Aces and the Breslin, the Battling Shorty, who have been making a lot of deals. I'm not sure what's going on there. We'll let them keep trading, because they're both at the bottom, so I don't know what trading players back and forth is really going to do for anybody. But anyway, the Black Aces traded Miles Austin, who has been extremely hot, so I'm not really sure why you want to get rid of that guy. I mean, maybe sell him high now while he's hot, thinking that he's going to drop down later, I don't know. For Roy Williams, Dallas wide receiver, big underachiever. Don't. Roy Williams, he's one of my biggest busts this year. And Mike Wallace, some guy from Pittsburgh. I'm a Steelers fan. Who's Mike Wallace? And sort of a really sad thing here. Really disappointing. The Flash had to drop Larry Johnson. Larry Johnson used to be an elite running back in the NFL. He used to be really, really, really good. I remember one year drafting, he was the #1 overall rated player. And now he's being dropped because he can't get along. Like, he's just saying stuff about his team, and he just doesn't get fantasy points. I mean, poor guy. I feel bad for him. And finally, some matchups to watch next week. We've got the Hillhounds versus the Nip High football rules. Richmond Hillhounds at 5-2. Nip High football rules at 4-3. Nip High football rules tied for second with the Hillhounds. And the Dynasty, if they win, are also tied. But if they lose, they fall behind both of those teams. That's a really important matchup for the North. Hillhounds win, they sort of push themselves, give themselves a little bit of a lift away from the 4-3 teams right now, especially Nip High football rules. They'll still have the Dynasty pretty close behind if the Dynasty manages to beat the Battling Shorty. But that's definitely a matchup to watch next week if you are in the playoff hunt right now. But my matchup of the week, my main matchup of the week, would have to be the London Silly Nannies at Team Wolf. I mean, two teams at 6-1, top of the game right now, both scoring ridiculous amounts of points. It's gonna be crazy. So watch that one. That is my matchup of the week to watch. That is my update for week 7, and everybody have a good week 8.
Flipping burgers, you at Kinko straight flipping cabbage. I'm riding on a dolphin, doing flips and it's dolphin splashing, getting everybody all wet. But this ain't SeaWorld, this is real as it gets. I'm on a boat, mother, don't you ever forget. I'm on a boat and it's going fast, and I got a nautical theme, pass me the Afghan.